Hello, I'm Luke Affin. I'm joined by Lewis Clark, our Shrewsbury Town reporter here at the Shropshire Star. Lewis, let's talk fullbacks at Shrewsbury Town, because at one point it didn't look like there were a whole bunch of them, and now all of a sudden...
Well, yeah.
Askey's got loads to choose from, hasn't he?
Yeah, right backs are like London buses, it turns out. Like, there are barely any, and then they all turn up at once. Yeah, it's quite a strange one. I think we were talking on a podcast, actually, last week, that there's none, essentially.
Yeah.
And now you're looking at three. Obviously, James Bolton's the regular. Has been for a season now, was great last season. Had a shaky start to this term. You know, I'm not ruling him out, but he's probably not played as well as he'd have wanted to. I'd have said. Someone Askey has previously had at Macclesfield, but he got a little niggle anyway. So late last week they recalled Ryan Sears, young 19-year-old from Telford, who'd done well on his Telford loan, but never played any senior football for Shrewsbury. And they also, on loan deadline day, did a bit of business with Paul Hurst.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Who'd have thought it? I thought the Ipswich dealings for the summer were over. And young Josh Emmanuel, 21-year-old right back, checks in from Portman Road.
Good bit of business, that.
Yeah, someone we're aware of. You know, he played at Wembley in the playoff final.
Yeah.
Just another depressing reminder of that, in case you managed to wipe it from your memory. Played well for Rotherham, and caught my eye in the previous league games with Rotherham as well.
Yeah.
Strong, mobile, willing to get forward. Actually, I looked at you see fan responses on Twitter when things go through, and a lot of the Ipswich fans couldn't see why he'd even been allowed to leave on loan. So that says a lot. I think he was a good player for Rotherham last season, 38 appearances. I think he's really going to push Bolton. They didn't have any strength in depth there, any options. They sent Luke Hendry out, so Bolton was the only one. Now Bolton will be totally pushed on his toes by Emmanuel, who I fully expect to stake a claim. It wouldn't surprise me to see him start at Portsmouth on Saturday, given Bolton's trying to recover from a niggle.
Yeah.
And it's good though, because they'll push each other, won't they? When you've got someone decent in your position, you train harder to be in the team. As for Sears, he was superb, to be fair, against Bristol Rovers on his debut. John Askey called it a perfect debut. You couldn't really have asked much more. You really couldn't, for his competitive bow in senior football. Fair play to him. Yeah. And he won a lot of fans that day. Fans love it when an academy graduate comes through, especially at a club like Shrewsbury, and he can have no complaints of how he's done. It's a shame for him that he's got someone like Bolton in, now he's got someone like Josh Emmanuel in. Those two realistically are going to be ahead of him in the pecking order. So what does Askey do with Sears? An interesting one. I wouldn't be all too surprised, I think I've said to you before, if he goes out on loan again. I don't see why it doesn't make sense to go back to Telford, where he was being used, where he was playing well. I think it would be better for his development if he goes back to the National League North and plays more games, because with the best will in the world, it's going to be tough for him to get much action. He might get on the bench, but get much game time with Shrewsbury with those two in as well. Briefly touch on left back, Omar Beckles and Ryan Haynes. I mean, Haynes comes in the summer as a left back, attack minded. We know. I mean, he
does love to go forward.
Yeah, I mean, he said to me he's been tarnished with this thing that he can't really defend, and he's trying to prove people wrong on that. He actually started the first few games really well for Town. He's had a bit of a wobble, gave away a penalty against City's kids, and looked ropey against Luton, where goals came from his side. So Omar Beckles has come in to replace him, and Beckles is the ultimate square peg in the round left back hole, in that he's a centre half, but he's kind of always done a half decent job at left back. So a conundrum there. Does Askey stick with what is a left back in Haynes and try and work with him, or go with Beckles, such a success from last season there? But he's got seemed to make both flanks, hasn't he, in defence, right back and left back. Certainly got options, which is better than having your hand forced. I guess at least you've got a bit of a headache there.
Yeah, good headache to have at least. Plenty of options.
Always a good headache. That's a great football cliche, isn't it? A good headache to have.
Yeah, that's it. So plenty of options for John Askey on both defensive flanks. For all the latest on them, it's Rhys Davis at ShropshireStar.com.